feels so good to be able to lay down after a long ass day in the office. But I have some really exciting news to share, so I won't keep you waiting. So it has been a little over 3 months now that YouTube has officially monetized my channel. But wait, before we get too excited, despite that, in these last 3 months, I have made exactly $0. Oh, what can I say? The dream is still dreaming. I mean, I can't tell you the countless number of videos that I've watched, other creators celebrating this exact moment. And rightfully so. They're excited and proud and, popping bottles of champagne, ripping open Google checks, showing off their back-end analytics, bringing in like tens of thousands of dollars in sponsorship and brand deals, using this platform to create other streams of revenue, quitting their 9-to-5. I mean, what a dream, right? And every time I would watch these videos, I would feel incredibly inspired by them, but then also, if I'm honest, perplexed as fuck. Like, how do they do it? So, to be here today, finally able to film my version of this video, man, even if it's not shiny or exciting, it definitely feels very validating. Because I've been working for years for this. Years of starting, stopping, doubting myself, and just hoping that someday I would get here. And yeah, I finally did. But let me tell you, this road to monetization, yeah, it wasn't quick at all. Definitely wasn't smooth. And it definitely wasn't one of those, sprint to 1,000K subscribers and, I made $5,000 in ad revenue in my first month. No, definitely not. To the contrary, for the past year, I have been grinding, working 2 jobs to help offset the costs of hiring an editor so that I can continue to push forward with publishing videos and a cadence that holds me accountable. And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do it without, setting those parameters for myself. And here I am, monetized, made 0 money. So if you came to this video thinking that this was gonna be one of those, I'm monetized and I made $10,000 in my first 3 months, this ain't it. And I'm really sorry to disappoint you. Sorry to this man. But I do want to be super clear. This video isn't to throw shade at any creators celebrating their success. If anything, I am beyond grateful for them sharing, because it is those kinds of videos that have kept me and continue to keep me motivated and inspired. I guess I just wanted to do this video to kind of pay it forward for those smaller channels that are slow to grow like mine. Those creators who are not hitting the huge numbers overnight. And for those who really want to know what it's like to be monetized, especially when you don't unlock any YouTube riches, at least not for a while. There is a part of me that kind of wanted to timestamp this moment for myself, because I can fully appreciate that, especially with all the content creators that I admire, that they once stood where I am today, excited, hopeful, I'm sure discouraged at times, but still showing up. And, getting monetized on YouTube, it is, to me, a big milestone. But there are a few things that I have learned. It doesn't mean that you're suddenly gonna go viral. It doesn't mean that money is just gonna start rolling in. And it certainly won't if we decide to give up. So, In this video, I am going to attempt to, quite frankly, walk you through the brutal realities and struggle on the road to monetization. I want to show you guys what my analytics actually look like and how technically I've made $0 within these last 3 months of finally being monetized on YouTube, but also not quite because of the payout thresholds that YouTube has. But I think more than anything, I really just want to keep it real. I want to be honest and transparent because I think this isn't the part we always get to see on YouTube, you know, the middle, messy part. And as much as I love to cheer on, you know, those creators celebrating their success, you know, those made it from the bottom, now we're here. You know, I also think that this in between deserves just as much airtime as those success stories that we love. Yes, the struggle of having to film this after work, because I'm quickly losing daylight, but I still work a full-time job, so just gotta do what I gotta do. But I forgot that I didn't introduce myself. Well, for those of you who've been on this struggle bus journey for some time, welcome back. Thank you for being here. And for those who it is your first time clicking on my video, hi, my name is Sade. I am an almost 40-year-old who sometime last year decided to pick back up this little hobby of mine that is my YouTube channel and really try and devote my time and energy to it and take it seriously. Truth is, I did try and take YouTube seriously a number of years ago. Well, at least I thought I did, but honestly, between the planning of the shot list, scripting the video, editing, it felt like I was running a marathon that I had not trained for. And by like mile 2 or 3, I got winded and completely collapsed. Yeah, it was kind of a failure the first go. But if you've been following my channel for some time, you might recall that a number of years ago, I lived overseas with my husband who served in the military. And I remember it took me about 8 months to decide to make that move. You know, I would finally quit my job, sell my car, move out of my place, and move to this little tiny country in the Middle East to be with him. It was quite terrifying, honestly. But just before I made that huge leap, deciding to move overseas, I started watching YouTube travel content creators like it was my full-time job, okay? I was deep down the rabbit hole. And for the first time, I saw kind of this different kind of life. A life where, you know, you were not constrained by the restrictions that, like, especially that corporate America puts on society in general. One where you could kind of live outside of your comfort zone and actually document it. Found it very intriguing. So I decided I would buy my own GoPro. I had zero experience filming or editing, but I had a big trip coming up. And so I decided to start filming my travels then, shaky hands and all. So my first uploads went up end of summer 2017. And I remember I took this really big trip, this 10-day trip to Norway, which was to this day one of the sickest trips I've ever been in. If you haven't been to Norway, it's absolutely beautiful. But the videos, oh man, really bad. None of it was good. The editing, the pacing, the storytelling, in my opinion, all of it was trash. But, you know, somehow I look at these like 200 odd some views and I still kind of consider it a win, despite how bad that video is. Mainly because it was something that I created and a little piece of me that I put out into the world and brought me some joy. And I want you to remember that word, joy, because in my opinion, that will matter more than the number of views that you get, especially in the beginning. And you know, as I look back now, I'm actually pretty proud at how consistent I was. You know, I was posting, at least that first year, anywhere between 2 to 4 videos a month, which As it turns out, it's like 1 video a week, which is kind of the sweet spot for the algorithm. Point is, I was trying, and that's really what counts at the end of the day. So when I finally moved overseas with my husband, end of summer 2018, I knew that I wanted to document everything because it was such a wild and unique, story and experience, uncharted, definitely scary, but also full of potential, especially, in the way that I wanted to share it on this platform. And yeah, at the beginning, it was mostly just my family and my friends watching barely, but it meant something to me. It was special because it was my way of telling my story. And side note, if there is one thing that I've learned, especially at the beginning of this journey, is that your friends and your family, they really don't care about your little YouTube channel. And that's okay, because in a way, no one watching kind of set me free. It allowed me the space to make bad videos without any fear of judgment. And believe me, they were pretty bad. When I look at my analytics from that time, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 videos that did okay, most of my videos barely got any views, like less than 200. But, here's the beauty in that, especially in the early days when you're first starting out. When no one is watching, you kind of get this safe runway to figure things out. You get to mess up, you get to learn, you get to try, new things, work on your storytelling, refine your filmmaking skills without that added pressure of having a large audience watching you and beating you up in the comments. I think we all can agree that, sometimes the internet isn't always the kindest place, especially when you're putting yourself out there and you're trying to be creative and vulnerable. People are really quick to judge sometimes, especially if your video, doesn't have the best lighting, or you don't have the newest, most high-tech microphone or camera, or you don't have, cool transitions or whatever. Rarely are people taking into account that you're new at this and you don't know what you're doing, and everyone has to start somewhere. But I guess the beauty and the curse of not having many eyes on you is that nobody cares because no one is watching. And that is kind of your superpower. That is the perfect opportunity to build and grow. So before I dive deeper into the actual numbers of what my monetized channel has earned these last 3 months, I just wanted to share a little bit of context, if you would indulge me, because I want to illustrate to you that this was not an overnight success by any means. This was a slow ass burn, okay? A long road filled with lots of joy, of course, but lots of failures, experimenting, and keeping the faith through it all. All right. I know you guys have been waiting patiently. Let's look into my 3-month post-monetization revenue. So as you guys already may know, to qualify for YouTube monetization, you have to hit 2 pretty big milestones. One being 1,000 subscribers, and the other being 4,000 watch hours, all within a rolling 365-day period. Now, I posted my first video in September of 2017, but I didn't get my first subscriber until 3 months later, y'all, in December. From that very first video in September through almost a year later, August 2018, which was around the time that I had moved to Bahrain, I posted around 22 videos total. And during that entire time, you guys, I only gained maybe 50 subscribers. I don't know about you guys, but it took me forever to get past that 100 subscriber mark. And when I finally hit it in 2019, YouTube sent me this congratulatory email. And I swear it felt like I had just won an Oscar. I needed that encouragement so badly. Now, Between August 2018 and October 2019, I was traveling like crazy. I had moved, I was no longer working, taking a sabbatical from my full-time job, and really just drawing myself into making videos. And by the time we temporarily moved back to the US, fall, October timeframe of 2019, I had a little over 300 subscribers. Little improvement. But just to put that into perspective, from the time I posted my first video in 2017, it took me nearly 2 years, y'all, to gain around 300 subscribers. And that was after uploading about 30 videos. And get this, 2019 was one of the most epic travel years of my life. Unbelievable places that I never thought I would ever see. I posted 25 videos that year alone, and by the end, I had gained maybe about 100 more subscribers. That's it. After all of that effort, all of that editing, I was doing the editing myself at the time, and all of those passport stamps, just 100 new subscribers. And honestly, it was hard not to feel discouraged, especially because I wasn't even tracking my watch hours at that time. I just figured like that mountain was still too high to climb, mainly focusing on my subscriber number. Then came 2020. And in February, we got the exciting news that my husband had received orders to India. We were so freaking pumped. I felt like, this next big chapter was about to begin. And then, 2020 decided to be 2020. You already know what happened. The pandemic.
And in the last 24 hours, more deaths have been reported.
Active cases have now crossed 4,000. Kerala is reporting the highest number of cases. From Singapore to Hong Kong, cases are climbing across Asia. The virus, they say, is still circulating, and health officials are encouraging booster shots. The Delhi High Court has raised concerns. It has asked the center to submit a status report.
Lockdowns, travel bans, border closures, suddenly everything paused, including me. I felt like my creative momentum slowed way down. I was no longer traveling, I wasn't uploading any videos, and honestly, I started to really question whether this whole YouTube thing was ever really gonna work. But here's the thing, despite all of that, I kept circling back to why I started. Remember that word that I mentioned earlier? Creating even if no one is watching has always genuinely brought me joy. So eventually I decided to come back. Slowly, more intentional, but I came back. And sometime in 2003, I really decided to recommit. I put strategy behind it. I invested in better tools, such as Final Cut Pro and Canva and Headline and vidIQ and all these things that make you kind of a resourceful content creator. I invested in contracting a video editor that would help me edit my videos so that I could publish them more efficiently, being that I'm working 2 jobs. I got clear on my message and what story was I trying to tell with my channel. And then finally, okay, in April of 2025, my channel got monetized. But now, 3 months later, despite all of the fireworks and confetti that I expected, you guessed it, I've actually not made any money at all. Technically, YouTube does have this thing called the $100 payout threshold. So even though I am earning some ad revenue, maybe $1 here, $2 there, I won't see a single penny of it until I hit my next milestone, which is that first $100. And listen, am I disappointed? Yeah, a little. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But, you know, surprisingly, I feel something else, something way more important. I feel mostly proud because I stuck with it through the slow growth, through all of the bad videos, through the pandemic, through the self-doubt, through the imposter syndrome that plagues me. I kept going. I kept going. And if you're watching this and your channel is growing slowly like mine, or you haven't started, let's say, let me just tell you this. The growth might be slow and the channel views might be small, but we are not behind. We're just building a runway from which one day we'll be able to fly. You know, this isn't a how I made 6 figures in my first year video. This is a how I made 0 figures after 3 months, but kept going. So I hope that this video reminds you that our timelines are valid, our voices are worthy, and thankfully, the journey still continues. So if you're still here and you made it to the end of this video, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that what you heard today reminded you that progress and consistency beats out perfection every single time. So yeah, maybe your growth feels slow and you're not seeing the numbers that you want, but just hang in there. Hang in there. You are not alone. You and I, we are in this together. And I certainly couldn't have achieved this milestone today without viewers like you putting faith into my small channel and watching and subscribing. So thank you again so very much. So whether this channel makes $0 or 10,000, to me, that is not what defines the value of this experience. It is being able to share my story with you and being able to connect with other like-minded creators and fellow dreamers who get it and get why we're doing this despite not having an instant reward or gratification. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you so much. And as always, I'm wishing you guys lots of peace, love, and light, especially on your creative journeys. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.